What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a very special Christmas Eve edition of Kicking It with Crowder, guys. I know a lot of people with family tonight and things like that, but I wanted to bring y'all a little episode, and we'll talk about Heisman Trophy finalists. The Final Four were announced tonight. We'll also talk college football playoff. We'll talk about the Auburn coaching hire of Brian Harsin, and a little NBA, a little NFL as well, guys. So I'll also give you my picks. What's up, Josh? Merry Christmas, bro. Hope you're doing good, man. So let some people join real quick, and then we'll get started on this Christmas Eve edition of Kicking It with Crowder. Anything y'all want to talk about, let me know down below. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit the comment button, and share down below, guys. And we'll get started here in just a second. All right? You doing good, man? Merry Christmas, guys. Thanks all for joining. Be sure to comment down below because it always doesn't show me who's watching. And I know I see two people on the live right now, but I don't see who the other person is. So, guys, don't forget to comment. Don't forget to like down below. And we'll do like this little short episode just to say we did one this week. And then we'll get started next Wednesday. I'll have my playoff picks and all that jazz. What's up, Glenn? Thanks for watching, man. All right, guys. So, hey, Kicking It with Crowder begins in 3, 2, 1, and welcome everybody to Kicking It with Crowder, episode 15, season 2, guys. Merry Christmas to each and every one of you guys. Thank y'all so much for joining me tonight. I know we got a lot of family stuff going on, dinners, presents being opening, parents getting ready for Christmas. So thank you guys for joining me tonight. I just wanted to talk a little bit college football playoff tonight. Also, the Heisman Trophy candidates were announced, the top 4. We'll talk about those players here in just a second. We'll also talk about the college football playoff if they got it right. A lot of people are upset, Ohio State are in, but a lot of people are upset Notre Dame is in as well. I actually had, after the loss, I actually had picked these 4 teams for the last 2-3 weeks. I figured these would be the 4 teams, but after the loss to Clemson, and that they were never really in that game. Ian Book looked confused at times. The defense didn't look very good against Clemson. I thought they were going to be bounced down. I thought Texas A&M would take their place. They did not. Jimbo Fisher's ticked off about it. A lot of SEC apologists are ticked off about it. But I understand why they put Notre Dame in based off what they did this season. But after that loss to Clemson, I probably would have put Texas A&M myself. The Ohio State thing, they didn't play enough games. They only played 6 games on the season, but I think that I think they're a top 4 team. I think they're going to match up well with Clemson. I think Clemson will win the game, but I think it'll be a pretty good game, and we'll kind of go from there. Also, guys, if you haven't heard the breaking news, the 4 Heisman Trophy candidates that were announced tonight were the 2 Bama stars, Mac Jones and also Devontae Smith. Then you had quarterback Kyle Trask from Florida, who gets in the finalists, and also Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence as well. So those 4. Hey, Miss Rhonda, Merry Christmas to you guys. Hope you all have a great Christmas. Thank you so much for watching, Miss Rhonda. So, guys, I think Trevor Lawrence, those 2 ball games he missed, those were big for him. I don't think he's going to win it. If they're going to give the trophy, the Heisman Trophy, to the best college football playoff, the best college football player in the whole country, Devontae Smith deserves the Heisman. That's my stick on that. I think that Devontae Smith is the best football player in all the country. If you're just going to call it a quarterback award, and then just call it the QB Heisman Trophy. But if you're going to give it to the best player, the most deserving player, I think Devontae Smith would earn my vote if I had a vote. The guy has been phenomenal this year. He's been making plays as a freshman. Of course, caught the big touchdown pass against Georgia in the national championship as a freshman. What he's been able to do and progress to now as a senior, he's a gazelle out there. He reminds me a lot of a Reggie Wayne type receiver, someone who makes big plays but doesn't really make flashy plays. He's not out there doing anything crazy. He's just out there running great routes and beating these guys, and he does it while he's running like a gazelle out there. He runs these routes so clean, so crisp, in and out of his breaks. Him and Mac Jones have tremendous chemistry as well. And then Kyle Trask. Kyle Trask, I know his team lost 3 games, but he put up great numbers the entire season. A guy who did not start in high school, sat on the bench for 3 years at Florida, then gets his opportunity last year, makes the most of it again this year. And then Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence, I think he's the best, probably the best overall talent in all of college football. Did miss some games, but he deserves to be in the conversation as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that later on. And then, guys, also the Auburn Tigers. They have a new coach in Brian Harsin, the former Boise State quarterback. So he played quarterback at Boise State from 95 to 99, then was an offensive coordinator under Chris Peterson. Went to Arkansas State for 1 year, and then, he was actually like an OC at Texas. Did some other stops as well, but then lands at Arkansas State for 1 year. They win the Sun Belt. Then he goes back to Boise State and wins a bunch of games there as well. So Mountain, you don't always see that Mountain West to SEC connection, but he's actually replaced Gus Malzahn before. He replaced him at Arkansas State. Now he'll replace him at Auburn. And if he can recruit, I think he'll be okay. If he's not able to get these guys, these guys in Florida and Georgia and Alabama and all these states down here, he's going to have some issues in the SEC West, which you have to go against Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, every single year, as well as LSU. So it's a tough job. Malzone, he had his highs, he had his lows, but when they want to pay you $21 million just to not show up, you're not doing something right. So when someone wants to pay you money not to come work for them, that's an issue. So, he had a very, I want to see what Bo Nix is maybe able to do, or does Brian Harsin trying to get his own quarterback in? We'll see what happens. But it was a really weird search. We'll talk about, coaches who turn them down and things like that a little bit later on in the show, guys. So we'll talk the NBA opening tip-off happened a couple of nights ago. The Atlanta Hawks get a big win against the Chicago Bulls, 124-104. Boy, Trae Young looked very, very good. This Hawks team is going to make some noise. I had them picked in the playoffs, so we'll see what they do. And we'll also talk a little bit about the NFL. And there will be a game Friday. There'll be 3 games Saturday and a bunch Sunday and then Monday night. So, we got a big weekend of not only college football bowl games, but also NFL, college basketball, NBA. So, got a lot to get into, guys. So, thank y'all so much for joining me tonight, especially on a night where, you guys are with your family and everything like that. Guys, I want to wish y'all all a Merry Christmas and many blessings for the 2021 year, because 2020 was tough. But, hey, guys, we made it through it, and we just got to keep chugging along, and we'll get there, okay? So, I'll also have my picks for the weekend. Did not have a good week last week, guys. I was 2-5-1 last week picking games. So instead of 38-32 like I was last week, I am now 40-37-1. So that 500 gap is closing. So I got to make some good picks this weekend. I'll have 6 picks for you for this weekend, guys. So hey, don't forget to comment. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to share down below. You can also find me on the Apple app. I'm also on Spotify, guys, the iHeartRadio app, YouTube, and Twitter. So I really appreciate you guys joining me tonight and taking some time out for this Christmas Eve, kicking it with Crowder Special. So without any further ado, guys, let's get into it. Let's go. All right, so college football, guys. We talked a little bit about college football playoff. The unanimous number 1 team this year. I think this may be the biggest gap I've seen between a number 1 and a number 2 team in a while. And this Alabama team is loaded from top to bottom. Offensively, they are just a juggernaut right now. Defensively, they've gotten better each and every week. So defensively, they're getting it done as well. The Bama-Florida game was a lot closer than I expected it to be. I did have Bama in that game. Florida made a nice little push at the end, but weren't able to get it done. Bama is your 2020 SEC champions, also the SEC representative in the college football playoff this season, guys. So congratulations to Nick Saban. Congratulations to Mac Jones, Devontae Smith, Najee Harris, who not only he ran for, 22, 23 touchdowns on the season. Are you kidding me? In 11 games. He's my number 2 running back going in to the NFL draft next year, so I'm excited to watch him play. They got a bunch of linemen who will play in the NFL. They got 2 defensive stars, Surtain and as well as Moses, who will both play, Dylan Moses. They'll all play in the NFL. So this team may be, and we may need to get the conversation started. If Alabama runs the table and they beat Notre Dame and they beat Clemson or Ohio State, is this the best Alabama football team that Nick Saban has had at Alabama? It'd be hard to argue with it. But I'm really excited to watch Bama Notre Dame on New Year's Day. And I'm ready for them to just beat the snot out of Notre Dame. I don't think they belong. I don't think they match up very well. I think it's a 19.5 point favorite right now. I'm all over that Alabama team right now to cover that spread. If they're going to get beat by Clemson like they did last week, I don't know what Alabama's going to do to them. But this Clemson-Ohio State game, guys, right now it opens up at a minus 6.5 points for Clemson. That's a lot of points right there against a good Ohio State football team. I think Ohio State stays in it. I may be leaning towards taking Ohio State right now with the 6.5 points. At the beginning of the season, guys, if you followed me all year, I had Alabama and Clemson in the national championship. So my prediction's still there right now. And then also, I had Alabama winning it. So right now, my picks are still alive. But I'm really excited for this Clemson-Ohio State matchup with a rematch, kind of Justin Fields versus Trevor Lawrence. These guys have been compared at the hip now for the last 4 to 5 seasons. Not only they're both quarterbacks from the Georgia area. Justin Fields played at Harrison High School in Marietta, and Trevor Lawrence played at Cartersville High School, powerhouse down there in Georgia as well. So these guys are compared. They're 1-2 coming out. They're probably going to be 1-2 coming out of the draft. So I'm really excited to see this matchup. Dabo Swinney, of course, did not have Ohio State in his top 10 coaches poll. Had Coastal Carolina and some other teams in front of them. So maybe he's giving Ohio State a little bulletin board type material, but I think he's dead wrong on that one. I think Ohio State is going to go in there trying to prove something to Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers, because Ohio State has yet to ever beat Clemson. They've never beat Clemson, which is odd to me. But Bama, Notre Dame, Clemson, Ohio State, really excited for these matchups. Excuse me, guys, sorry. Really excited for these matchups, and not only am I excited for the matchups, I'm excited for the national championship, which will be played the following Monday, I think January 9th or something like that. And guys, just remember, we didn't know if we'd have a college football season, guys. So really, really proud of what these colleges and what these universities were able to do. Of course, A&M was left out of the college football playoff. Cincinnati left out. Oklahoma ends up as number 6 team, Cincinnati at 7. So Cincinnati did everything in their power this year to make the college football playoff. And if they can't do it in a year like this, I'm not sure a team outside the Power 5 will ever really get in to the college football playoff, guys. So that is your college football playoff set. Bama, Clemson, Ohio State, and Notre Dame, guys. So tell me what you think down below. Do you think they got it right? Do you think that who should it have been, honestly, if you don't think that those teams should have been in? Who should have been in? So we'll see what happens there, guys. And that's the college football playoff. Next, guys, we'll go to the Heisman Trophy candidates. And we talked a little bit about it earlier in the show. And basically, so they announced the Final Four today, guys. Alabama teammates Mac Jones and Devontae Smith, Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence, and Florida quarterback Kyle Trask, were announced as Heisman Trophy finalists on Thursday night. This year, Joe Burrow was the favorite last year. Right now, there's really no clear front runner to win. I think that what may hurt Devontae Smith and Mac Jones is some of those guys are going to split their vote. So you're going to have some people vote for Mac Jones. You're going to have some people vote for Devontae Smith. You're going to see a lot of teams, a lot of the media members kind of splitting hairs with these votes. I mean, he was very good. Mac Jones was also very good after he lost Waddle. Smith leads Devontae Smith, though, leads the country with 98 receptions, 1,500 yards, and 17 touchdown catches. Also had a punt return for a touchdown against Arkansas as well. Maybe that was like his Heisman moment. I think going against Auburn and what he was able to do against Auburn, Devontae Smith in that rivalry. I mean, it's unreal. I mean, Mac Jones called Devontae Smith the most electric player in college football, and you can watch the tape and see it. It doesn't lie. The tape does not lie. And Smith is hoping to become the first non-quarterback to win the Heisman since Derrick Henry in 2015. So the most recent wide receiver to win the Heisman was, of course, Michigan's Desmond Howard in 1991. So I'm really excited for Devontae Smith in this Alabama program. I think that one of those two guys will win. After the season they had, Kyle Trask, shout out to him. He had a great season. Shout out to Trevor Lawrence. He had a great season, but he missed 2 games. Trask, of course, loses 3 games this year. Lawrence misses 2 games. So for me, it really comes down to Mac Jones versus Devontae Smith, 2 teammates actually. So Jones, a redshirt senior, started 4 games last year after Tua Tagovailoa got hurt, and he had to beat out a former 5-star number 1 player in Bryce Young this year. So I think Mac Jones is comfortable this year. He could come back next year as well, but I'm not sure. He may want to go. He'll probably be a late first round, early second round pick. Mac Jones. Jones has thrown for 3,700 yards this season, 32 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and he's completing like 77% of his passes, which is just an insane mark. Also has the highest grade of any quarterback in the last 20 years as well, like a 95 grade this year. So, I mean, only one school has had 1-2 finish in the Heisman Trophy. That was in 1945, Army team. So, Najee Harris announced that as they finished him 5th in the voting. So Alabama will be the first team with 3 players inside the top 5 since 1946. So, man, this Alabama team, this offense was so great this year. Mac Jones, Devontae Smith, Najee Harris, y'all were wonderful. So Najee Harris finishes in the top 5. So shout out to him. He was great this year, 23 touchdowns. Lawrence, guys, right now, his Heisman Trophy candidacy, 34-1 as a starter for Clemson, lost 1 game. He's the second Clemson player to be a Heisman finalist. Deshaun Watson finished second in 2015, and I think third in 2016. Lawrence's stats aren't as good as Mac Jones this year because he did miss some time. Also, Clemson's blowing out people, and they kind of sit him and let the DJ come in and get some snaps as well. But Dabo Swinney's going hard for Trevor Lawrence right now and saying it would be a shame, and I quote, here's what I would say: it'd be a crying shame if the Heisman Trophy didn't attach her name to Trevor Lawrence. And, it really reminds me of the Peyton Manning situation. Came back a senior year to win that Heisman Trophy, did not win it, came in second to Charles Woodson in 98. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be a guy who finished real close to winning a Heisman Trophy, but was just never able to knock that door down. Doesn't make Trevor Lawrence any less of a football player. He'll still go number 1 in the NFL draft this year, but he only threw for 2,700 yards, 22 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, added 200 yards rushing, and 7 touchdowns on the ground as well. So, he has good stats, but they don't really match up to Jones' stats. And like I said, I think Devontae Smith is just the best player in the nation. And then Trask, man, he had one of the best seasons for a Florida quarterback in the history. He threw a school record 43 touchdown passes, led the nation by 11 touchdowns in that category. Also, led the nation in passing yards, 375 a game, passing for 4,125 passing yards, and also 5 400-yard games. So Dan Mullen and those guys were able to really open up the playbook. Of course, he had the talented tight end in Kyle Pitts as well. Dan Mullen is an offensive, people call him an offensive guru. I wouldn't call him a guru, but he is a very good offensive coach. And, he is going to play in the bowl game, but he will not be returning next year. I thought it could be a possibility of Trask maybe coming back because he had that extra year of eligibility because of the COVID stuff this year. But it looks like Kyle Trask will go ahead and go to the NFL. So they went ahead and announced the top 10 guys, and they are Najee Harris, number 5. Number 6, Ohio State running back Breece Hall. Number 7, Ohio State quarterback Justin Fields. Number 8, BYU quarterback Zach Wilson. Number 9, Notre Dame Ian Book. And number 10, Florida tight end Kyle Pitts. So that rounds out your top 10 Heisman guys. Who's it going to be? If I had to pick my order, guys, I'm going to go, I'll go Devontae Smith 1, Mac Jones 2, Kyle Trask 3, and Trevor Lawrence 4. So that's my top 4 picks for the Heisman. I think Devontae Smith is the most deserving. He's the best player in college football. They should give him the trophy and be the first wide receiver to win it in nearly 30 years. So shout out to you guys, man. Y'all went out and made plays this all season. You're all going to be paid very well one day by the National Football League. And shout out to all you guys. Y'all had a great season, and you're all deserving of this trophy, but only one can win it, and we'll see who it is. So I'm really excited to watch. It'll be a virtual experience, guys, but I'm excited for the Heisman Trophy and these guys because they went out there and they earned it this season. So next we're gonna move on to Auburn. We're gonna move on to the Auburn coaching search, which was a kind of a carousel. A lot of people not knowing what was going to happen. Auburn's reportedly offered Hugh Freeze. They also really wanted Billy Napier. Kevin Steele, I think, was offered. But after, they offered some other guys over Steele, so he was out of the conversation. Lane Kiffin was up for the conversation at Auburn as well. But Brian Harrison, Auburn gets their guy in Brian Harrison. He is a former Boise State quarterback from 95 to 99, then ended up being a coach at Boise State for many years, then went on to Texas, was the OC of Texas, then went from Texas to Arkansas State, was the head man at Arkansas State for a year before going back to his alma mater at Boise State. Has done a hell of a job with Boise State, Mountain West team. They finished 6-2 this year. He had a 69-19 record at Boise State, so winning record there. And you don't see the move a lot. You don't see Mountain West to SEC. You really don't see that. You see more high-profile college coaches getting those kind of jobs. But they did their research on this guy. They're saying that this is the guy they wanted all along, with some of those other names like Billy Napier from Louisiana, Hugh Freeze from Liberty, Lane Kiffin, who was already at Ole Miss. I say you got to give the guy a chance. It's gonna take a while to get some of his guys in there. He does have some good players coming back. Tank Bisbee, the SEC co-freshman of the year this year, he's coming back. He'll be a sophomore. Actually, he'll be really a freshman next year. His second college season. Bo Nix, of course, it will be supposed to be heading into his junior year. I guess it'll technically be a sophomore. Interested to see what Seth Williams will do. Will Seth Williams come back? Will he declare for the NFL draft? And he's really going to have to start hitting some of these states hard. Georgia, West Georgia is a huge recruiting bed for Auburn. Also, the state of Florida has also been huge for Auburn. He's going to have to get in those homes in Alabama, start making these connections with these college coaches. He's going to have He's going to have the West. He'll still have his California, and I'm sure some other states that he recruits well out there. He'll still have those connections, but he's really going to have to establish new connections down here in the South. And these Auburn fans, man, they're tough. They're not going to let you're not going to have 3 years to build this, man. You're going to have 1 to 2 years to kind of get some of your guys in there and see what you do. I'm interested to see what kind of staff he brings into Auburn. Will he have some of the same coaches who will be retained? Will he bring in some of his Boise State guys that he's built relationships with? Be interesting to see. So I'm really excited for him. He's the 28th football coach in Auburn history. I think that what he's able to do at Auburn in this next 2 to 3 years is going to be good for him, and not only good for him, but good for the Auburn program because he's going to have to deal with a lot. He's competing against Jimbo Fisher, Nick Saban, and Ed Orgeron each year And then you also got to throw Kirby Smart in there as well with Georgia. So it's one of the toughest jobs in America. Auburn can recruit itself. Auburn has put plenty of guys in the NFL, plenty of first-team SEC guys. They've had some magical seasons in the past 10 years or so. Won a national championship in 2010. Made another national championship appearance in 2013. Brian Harsin's going to get better players than he's ever had at at Boise State. So if he's able to get these 4 to 5 star guys and coach them up, I'm really excited for what he can do. I'm going to give this hire like a B minus. I think that I'm never going to, first I got to see what he's able to do at Auburn, but he's been a winner everywhere he's gone. He's a good offensive mind, and that's exactly what this Auburn team needs because they've been very vanilla the last few years. But Brian Harsin didn't get Billy Napier. I think Hugh Freeze would have been a home run hit higher. Also, they're maybe 1 year too late on Lane Kiffin. But, hey, I'm always going to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. So I hope he goes out there and he proves people wrong who thinks it's a bad hire. But we'll see what happens. So that's the Auburn coaching hire, guys. Brian Harsin, Boise State head coach, is now the head coach at Auburn. So shout out to him. I really think he's going to do well for the Tigers. So we'll see what happens. All right, guys. So now I wanted to talk a little bit about the NBA. The NBA tipped off the other night. And LeBron James and the Lakers lost to the Clippers on opening night. So that was kind of interesting. A lot of people had the Lakers big time in that game. That was on Tuesday. And then, of course, the Brooklyn Nets destroy the Golden State Warriors 125-99. Kevin Durant making his return against his former team. And then on Wednesday, guys, almost every team in the league kicked off. We'll do a quick little rundown. So Cleveland beat Charlotte 121-114. LaMelo Ball does not score any points, has a couple turnovers, couple assists. Underwhelming performance by a guy I expected a lot from the season. He'll get his feet wet. He'll be fine. Indiana 121-107 over the Knicks. Orlando 113 over the Heat 107. Philadelphia 113. Washington 107. Russell Westbrook made his debut, triple-double in his debut. So nothing new for Russell Westbrook. Giannis Antetokounmpo. I always love saying his name. It's always different. Every time I pronounce it, it's different. They lose on it. He had to make a free throw at the end of the game. He misses with 0.4 seconds left. Jason Tatum hits a three-pointer, 121 over the Milwaukee Bucks. New Orleans defeats Toronto 113-99 in Zion Williamson's return. The Atlanta Hawks, man, 124-104 over the Chicago Bulls. Trae Young, 37 points in his return for the Hawks. Really good matchup. Oklahoma City and Houston was postponed for coronavirus implications. Then you had San Antonio at Memphis, 131-119. Minnesota gets a win, 111-101 over Detroit. Sacramento hits a game-winning buzzer-beater shot by Buddy Hield, 124-122 over the Nuggets. And then you had Utah defeating Portland 120-100. And then in the last game of the day, Phoenix and Chris Paul and Devin Booker defeat the Dallas Mavericks 106-102. And then, of course, guys, we got the NBA on Christmas. These are also really, really good games. We got 5 games going on Christmas. I'll just go ahead and give you these games, guys. At 8. This will be at 12. This is going to be at 12 o'clock noon. New Orleans at Miami. That should be a good one. Golden State at Milwaukee at 2:30. Brooklyn at Boston at 5 o'clock. That's going to be a really good game. I'm excited for that one. Dallas at LA at 8 o'clock. And then the last game of the day, guys, 10:30. Los Angeles Clippers at the Denver Nuggets. Clippers look to get some revenge over the Nuggets, who knocked them out of the playoffs after being up 3-1. So that's your 5 games, guys. We also have a college football game tomorrow as well. And not only college football, NFL, New Orleans Saints take on the Vikings tomorrow. We'll talk about that game a little bit later on with my picks. And then also, I think you have Buffalo at Marshall tomorrow on Christmas as well. So a big day of sports for tomorrow. So I'm really, really excited. Also, the Big Ten has 4 college basketball games as well. So, NBA guys, always good to talk a little bit of NBA, and I want to talk a little bit about the NFL because this is a crucial weekend. Not only our fantasy championship's going to be crowned this weekend, but guys, playoff implications on the line. Minnesota at New Orleans at 4:30 tomorrow on Fox. Really excited to watch that one. Then on Saturday, we got Tampa Bay at Detroit, San Francisco at Arizona, and Miami at Las Vegas. Triple header. Really excited for that. So NFL Network will have the Tampa Bay game. The San Francisco game will actually be on Prime Video. I guess I won't be watching that. And then Miami at Las Vegas for the nightcap. So we'll see what happens. We'll give you an updated playoff rankings and everything on Wednesday's show next week. We'll also pick the college football playoff games and some of those other New Year's Six Bowl games as well. So I'm really excited. The MVP race is down to kind of Pat Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. I think you could give, if I was a media member, I'd kind of split my vote, man. It's hard to pick between those two. They've both been so good this season. And I'm just really excited to see what they're going to do with the last 2 weeks. And then Sunday night, guys, really good game. Tennessee at Green Bay. That should be a hell of a game. So, guys, want to get into my picks real quick. And wanted to talk about my picks last week, guys. It was a rough week, guys. 2-5-1 last week. Actually started 0-5, and then I ended up tying a game and then winning 2 more of the NFL games that I had as well. So last week, guys, I had the Raiders minus 2.5 over the Chargers. Of course, they lose in overtime by 3. I had USC minus 3 over Oregon. They lose by 4 points. Ohio State, I had them minus 20.5 over Northwestern. They knee the ball up 12 late. Iowa State, I had them plus 6 over Oklahoma. That was the push. Notre Dame, of course, I had them plus 10.5 over Clemson. They get beat down. And then Bama minus 17 over Florida. And then I also had Green Bay minus 7 over Panthers. They win by 8. And then I also had the Buffalo Bills minus 5.5 over the Broncos. They cover as well. So those are my picks last week, guys, bringing my record from 38 to 32 after a 2-5-1 week. I am now 40-37-1. So this is very, very big weekend for me. I'm excited to bring you these picks, guys, and here's how I have it. So starting at number 1, we're going to start with the Friday game, the Christmas Eve special. Saints minus 6.5 over the Minnesota Vikings. That is my pick. I think with Drew Brees now coming back, they were able to get their feet wet last week. Of course, they do lose a close game to the Kansas City Chiefs. Vikings are kind of out of it now at 6-8. I'll take the Saints and that dominant defense over the Vikings minus 6.5. I'll go 31-21 Saints over the Vikings. Next game, guys, is going to be minus 4.5. The Cardinals minus 4.5 over the San Francisco 49ers. This is the San Francisco 49ers team. I think this is just kind of checked out now. They were, of course, eliminated from playoff contention last week. This team's dealt with a bunch of injuries all season. Mostert's been hurt. Kittle's hurt. Garoppolo's hurt. Nick Bosa's hurt. I mean, this whole team is hurt. They may just decide to shut down for some of these players. And the Cardinals, if they win, they actually clinch a playoff spot this weekend. So I'm going the Cardinals minus 4.5 over the Niners. I'm going 34-20 over the San Francisco 49ers, and the Arizona Cardinals get into the playoffs, a team that I had in the playoffs at the beginning of the season. The Miami Dolphins, guys, have a really, really big shot to make the playoffs this week against the Oakland Raiders. They are now a 2.5-point favorite. Don't know who they're going to see. They're going to see either Derek Carr or Marcus Mariota. I'm not sure which quarterback will be there, but this Dolphins defense has been making plays all year for Brian Flores, and I think Tua is 5-2 now as a quarterback. So I like the Dolphins in this game, guys. I'll roll with the Dolphins minus 2.5 over the Raiders. So I'll take the Saints minus 6.5, the Cardinals minus 4.5, and the Dolphins minus 2.5 for my 3 NFL picks. Of course, one of those games is coming on tomorrow, and then the other 2 guys will be on Saturday. So watch out for those. And then starting with college football, I have 3 college football picks for this weekend. First, we'll start with Buffalo tomorrow on Christmas Eve. I got Buffalo minus 4.5 over Marshall. A Marshall team that started the season good, had a really upsetting loss to Rice. Buffalo, of course, is led by a really, really talented running back who will play in the NFL. I think Jarrett Patterson is his name. He's 5'9" running back, but he runs the ball very, very hard. He's a hell of a running back for Buffalo. I like him to be the difference over this Marshall team. Marshall, of course, started I think 5-0. Now they're 7-2. I like Buffalo. I'll roll with the MAC team over Marshall this weekend. I'll go 28-20. Buffalo over Marshall. And then, guys, Western Kentucky. This is a Western Kentucky team who's playing. They've had a decent little season. Georgia State's had a decent season. These are 2 pretty evenly matched teams. Right now, Western Kentucky sits as a +4 favorite. I'll go with the Hilltoppers just because I went to the real GSU, Georgia Southern, and Georgia State, even though they beat us this year, they just think they're the real Georgia Southern. They just think they're the real GSU, and I'm sorry, guys. I hate to tell you. But you're not. So I'm going Western Kentucky +4 over Georgia State just for that reason. I'll take Western Kentucky with the upset 31-30 over Georgia State. And then closing it out, guys, this is a undefeated Coastal Carolina team who I really thought they should have been in a New Year's Six bowl game, but Cincinnati gets in, and they take on a Liberty team who hasn't played very much in the last few weeks. Hugh Freeze done a heck of a job. This was a toss-up for me. I just think that Coastal Carolina is really trying to get that undefeated season, go 12-0. I really like Coastal in this game. I'll go Coastal minus, it's minus 6.5. I'll go Coastal by 9. I'll go 30-21. Coastal over Liberty. Hugh Freeze done a heck of a job with Liberty. Look for him to be on the head coach search for a team who needs a coach because he is a heck of a coach, guys. So I'm 40-37-1, guys. I need a great week. I'm hoping for a 5-1, 6-0 type week. So of course, guys, I have Saints minus 6.5 over Vikings. Cardinals minus 4.5 over 49ers. Dolphins minus 2.5 over the Ravens. Western Kentucky +4 over Georgia State. Buffalo minus 4 over Marshall. And Coastal Carolina rounding it out minus 6.5 over Liberty, guys. So, hey, thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad I was able to bring y'all a little Christmas special of Kicking It with Crowder, episode 15, season 2, guys. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe down below. And remember, guys, you can also find me on YouTube. Kicking It with Crowder. Don't forget to subscribe there as well. And then on Twitter, guys, give me a follow. Got a lot of great content coming out there daily on Twitter at Kick It with Crowder, guys. I'm sorry, at Kick It with Crow. Couldn't fit Crowder in there. So thank you guys so much. I'll be back next Wednesday at 9 o'clock giving you my college football playoff picks and some other games as well. And we'll have a great week next week, guys. And thank y'all so much. I am out until next week. Let's go.